Hey guys, welcome back to the Decryption Podcast. My name's Ethan.
My name's Peter.
My name's Tanner, and in today's episode, it's going to be pretty interesting. We are exposing Kamala Harris for being a radical liberal that wants to take away your freedom of speech. If you think that sounds crazy, just stick to the end of this video because I promise you, it's not us saying it, it's her herself saying it. We're just providing the information. So stay tuned, and this is going to be pretty crazy.
So, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Kamala lately has been talking heavy about regulating social media and censoring basically anything that doesn't align with her views. And to me, that's pretty diabolical.
So pretty much, Kamala wants to be able to have the right to say what is and isn't misinformation and hate speech online. And her ideology is that the government can have oversight of all social media platforms. But really, they do already outside of X, which people call Twitter. I think X is a weird name. But her and Elon Musk have beef because I'm not a big advocate or fan of Elon Musk. But I can respect what he's doing. He has the only social media platform that is huge. I mean, Rumble is kind of big, but Twitter is huge. They don't censor anything. And of course, there's going to be misinformation online. But the government doesn't have the right to say what is or isn't misinformation. That should be for people to decide through doing their own research. It's in the name, social media. It's supposed, social media is supposed to provide media. But the only media that they want you to be able to trust is mainstream media. Well, that's the flaw because they've been proven to lie time and time again. And then you have people like us who just want to spread messages.
It's just these big corporations of biased individuals, and they're all working towards the same goal. So you can only choose one side or the other, and I hate that.
Yeah, it's not very social. But it almost starts to feel like you're in a new version of China or North Korea, and North Korea is really the best example of this situation because you start to think of like the extremities of people that will pick Kamala just because she's a woman, for example. It's kind of like the Kim Jong-un situation where his people believe he's God and they believe he made the sun and they believe that all sorts of ridiculous things about him. And it's starting to like look at America now. Like, you got all these people that are voting for Kamala because she's a black woman. Like, be for real.
And she'll say these things on camera. And
Yeah.
just go along with it like it's okay.
Like, everything we say, we have receipts to show you guys that we are not being biased or picky or trying to even damage her reputation, because how are we damaging your reputation if these are things that you have went and said in the open? We're not doing it. We're simply the messenger, and you can't shoot the messenger.
And she's running for president. So we have a right to take things that are clear red flags because she may actually be leading this country, and people have the right to be educated and know who they're voting for. And that's our purpose. And as we said earlier, we do have receipts to back this up. So we've been doing a little bit of talking. We're going to continue to do a lot of talking, but just so we can clear this up out of the way right now, let's show you some receipts.
His privileges, and it should be taken down. And the bottom line is that you can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. The same rule has to apply, which is that there has to be a responsibility that is placed on these social media sites to understand their power. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation. And that has to stop. All of these social media companies and these online platforms, which are so powerful in their ability to impact perception about an issue and to influence behaviors, let's be clear about that. There have to be standards, and he and his account should be taken down. We saw in El Paso that shooter in his manifesto was informed by how Donald Trump uses that platform. And this is a matter of corporate responsibility. Twitter should be held accountable and shut down that site. It is a matter of safety and corporate accountability.
Thank you. Senator Warren, you can respond.
So, look, I don't just want to push Donald Trump off Twitter. I want to push him out of the White House. That's our job.
Join me in saying that his Twitter account should be shut down.
Let's figure out.
No?
Why it
Will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable as a community. I learned, I think I was, 22 when I started that work. I learned that with the swipe of my pen, I could charge someone with the lowest level offense. And because of the swipe of my pen, that person could be arrested. They could sit in jail for at least 48 hours. They could lose time from work, and their family maybe lose their job. They'd have to come out of their own pocket to help hire a lawyer. They'd lose standing in their community. All because of the swipe of my pen. Weeks later, I could dismiss the charges, but their life would forever be changed. So I learned at a very young age the power. Donald Trump has 65 million followers on Twitter, and we have to take seriously the weaponization of this platform. They are directly speaking to millions and millions of people without any level of oversight or regulation, and that has to stop.
One thing that I want to talk about is she says that this big organization shouldn't be allowed to talk to all these people because it has to recognize the power it has. And the media does the same exact thing and spreads misinformation all the time. But there's no consequence for that at all. Like, no restriction on the media.
And something that honestly baffles me when it comes to this whole social media thing is that, kind of like Tanner was saying earlier, the whole freedom of speech thing. I mean, you have to remember, and I only say this because I'm like a wannabe entrepreneur. I mean, everybody has dreams. Point being, though, somebody made those apps. As in, the government didn't make those apps, right? Because if the government made those apps, people wouldn't willingly get on them. People would not willingly give away their freedom of speech to get on the app the government made. That's why individuals made these apps, and now they're trying to control them. And it's just you can't do that. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's individuals saying these things too. It's not like a group of people banding together and spreading hate speech. It's
literally,
at the worst, it's one racist person online just spewing nonsense. That's the least most you got to worry about.
They're trying so hard to work around these things with loopholes, because if this is what the people wanted, they would just drop government chat, gov.chat, where you can chat everyone and all your messages are being tracked by us. We are reading all your chats, but they know that's not what we want. They know that's not what we're looking for. So now they have to do all this sneaky stuff and try to it's just how do people not see it? That's just what I'm saying. It's you guys don't see the fact that they aren't in control, so they want the control, but then they really are in control. So it's
I mean, we all learned in history class about propaganda. At least I know in history class I learned about propaganda. I thought everyone knows or should know that the governments always have some form of propaganda, and it's we all just are nope, trust the government, trust everything they have to say. They have our best intentions at mind. Don't ask any questions. Comply. It's what? Okay. Hold on now. This is the same government that was incentivizing you to get a COVID vaccine, and they were saying get a free burger. But this is the same government that just a few weeks ago, they said if you get an abortion, you get a free hot dog. Come on now. Be for real, guys. Be for real.
And not that part, but the whole... her being able to, not her in particular, but the government being able to control what is and isn't hate speech. It's kind of eerily similar to what's going on in the UK right now.
Yeah. It's crazy. If, let's say Kamala gets in office, right? And she's all this and that about hate speech. Let's say I get on this podcast and I say, man, Kamala just passed a stupid law. I can't stand Kamala. I would never vote for her. Guess what? Me, boom, gone. Never posting on social media again. I'm in permanent jail. Well, maybe physical jail. I don't know. We're treading that direction. But isn't that crazy? Like a lot of you guys that do support Kamala, you might be mad at me, but look, you have the right to say, I hate Trump. Well, I said I wasn't going to mention Trump, but you know what? It's inevitable. You guys have the right to say, I don't agree with you guys, but you can say, I don't like Trump. I hate Trump. You can say that. You can say, I don't want to vote for Trump. That is fine. That's your right. You can say that if you want to say that. But now if you want to start saying it against the other side, oh, you're hateful. And it's just, it's so naive. This is surface level stuff. It shouldn't take deep thinking to realize this is a problem. If these laws get signed into effect, ladies and gentlemen,
We're cooked.
We were cooked. We do not realize we are all born into freedom. We only know freedom. We don't know what not having freedom is like. People in other countries do know what that's like. And they are all saying that we are like on the brink of losing our freedoms. So we're all so comfortable, like, we'll never take it. You realize, do you know what happens if they take our freedom? Do you know how we get it back? It's not going, and now, yeah, let's talk about how they want to take away guns too, which it goes very hand in hand. The government, they would be able to become fully tyrannical.
And while he's on that tangent, I want to let you guys know before we get into this gun control, what he's saying is so close to reality. Like he said, we're so close to losing our rights because right across the bridge in Brazil, right down south, they already did that. Like they already banned Twitter or X, I apologize. And they went as far as to say that anyone that is using a VPN to get on X is going to get fined $8,000 a day. Now, do you guys want to inform our watchers why that is diabolical?
If you can't figure it out that yourself, I don't think you need to.
No, like they need to know the real reason. Why is $8,000 a day such a crazy number?
Yeah, it's actually slightly over 8,000, and the yearly in U.S. dollars, the yearly income for the average person that lives in Brazil is like $8,000 and a couple $100. So you're more or less going to be fined what the average person makes in a year. You're gonna have to pay that every day. You're using a VPN just to have Twitter. That is diabolical, dude. Like that is crazy. Like for the equivalent in America, that's like if they banned Twitter here in America, they would say if you're caught using a VPN to have Twitter, you're gonna have to pay like $70,000 every day you have it.
And I want to say something to all our viewers that are watching this from the comfort of their home, you know, in the basement or maybe in the attic because mom and dad have a cool attic, right? So you're basically what I'm saying is it doesn't affect me. Well, that's actually the craziest part, as in a lot of you guys don't know this. There's probably no reason for you to know this, but I moved here from Africa in 2016. And what that means, what that should say is it could be a person you know right in your group of 5, right? And next thing you know, it's like, imagine if it were them, because I lived in Africa, and while I was living in Africa, all these weird rules and these like little $8,000 daily fines that you would think and hear, you're like, yeah, bro, like, yeah, I'm sure they're really like, I'm sure that's happening. Why do you think third world countries are constantly in war? Because that stuff is happening and the people rebel. The people actually say we're not, because guess what? The government will show up on your door with an $8,000 fine and be like, pay up.
Yeah. Haiti has been going at it for years now. I mean, they are like an extreme example of it, but like their people are not letting up, but their government isn't letting up either. I don't even think they have a government now. I think their government is literally like, well, that's the thing. It's just free game, and I mean it's crazy because it's gotten to that level. And yeah, we're blessed. We don't realize living in a first world country, like we don't realize how severe these problems can be until they hit, and that's what we're trying to prevent. Yeah, we're trying to prevent that because Kamala's ideologies would enable that. And this is not fear-mongering. This is literally just the reality. History has a tendency to repeat itself. That's something else we were supposed to learn in history class.
Fear prevention. We're trying
Absolutely.
to prevent
Yeah. I'm not here to tell you to vote for Trump. I'm saying just don't vote for Kamala. I don't care what you do. Don't vote for Kamala because Kamala is communism. And run from communism. Run from communism. I don't care how good you think it is. I know we just posted a video and this dude was advocating for it, but no, we don't know what a communist government's like. We live in America. We're pampered. We have freedom. We still have, even though our freedoms are being suppressed, we still have more freedom than most people. So let's not advocate for communism, okay? And no Kamala.
I know I probably sound like a broken record bringing up the UK so many times, but this is like a big deal. Like if you guys haven't seen what's going on in the UK, it is nuts, and like people are getting arrested for literal Facebook comments. Like it is, and having no right to free speech over like individuals. I don't know. The whole thing is sketchy. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, it's extremely corrupt. Speaking of corruption, so if Kamala wins, her vice president to be possibly, his name's Tim Walz. He shares the same viewpoints, and I'm going to play this video where he says the most diabolical thing ever.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
No guarantee of free speech if it's for misinformation or hate speech. Yeah, look, so we can't guarantee your free speech because we don't know if this is hate speech or not.
Oh, don't you know they get to decide what's right and wrong, what's the truth and what's not?
That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't see it that way. Like I said, you got us in the first half. Like, at first, the whole makeup around it and the makeup on it sounds good. Like, yay, no more fake stuff going around. But then it's like, wait a minute, we can't, like, there's not even a way to monitor that. Like, there's no way to monitor what's fake and what's real. So at the end of the day, they're just going to monitor everything.
Yeah, and whoever controls the media can control the narrative. It's so easy. I mean, and I think a lot more people are waking up to like what BlackRock is and what Vanguard is and what Wall Street is and how BlackRock owns Vanguard and Wall Street, but Wall Street owns BlackRock and Vanguard. Vanguard, like, you get it. It's a giant monopoly from your far right like Fox News to your far left like CNN and MSNBC.
Divide and conquer.
Absolutely. All the narratives are controlled. So when they say misinformation, well, if it's not aligning to that mainstream narrative, which is bought and paid for both sides, propaganda. Like we said earlier, we should know what propaganda is. We should know it exists. It's always existed in every form of government.
Fund both
Always.
sides of the war. That's what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So if misinformation in their eyes would be anything that goes against the narrative, which again, the narrative, that's the people who own it. So if you go up against BlackRock and their ideology, well, you're spreading misinformation. But of course you are, because if that really existed, well, of course they wouldn't want anyone to speak out against it. I mean, it is so like right in front of your face, and people still are like, "Oh no, if that were real, the government would tell us, or the news would be on the news." It's like, oh, that's I've heard that in the comment sections. People literally will say, "If that were true, it would be on the news." It's like, oh my gosh, like, oh my gosh.
Why don't you look up how news work, aka businesses, companies, owners, investors, freaking share list holders,
all the people that have died who have ever spoken out and said anything against it. There's he just jumped off of the 70th balcony of his high-rise apartment. And we had 20 CEOs this month do the same thing. Yeah, don't ask any questions. Oh, he found the cure for cancer. Oh, he just died in a plane crash 2 days later. Don't ask any questions. Just happens. It's like, this world is corrupt. Our government is corrupt. They are coming for you people, and like, you have the right to stop it. Yes, the world is a stage, but like,
so let's tear it down and rebuild
hey,
it.
Amen.
Facebook has been proven to work with like intelligence agencies, you know, the big 3-letter agencies that are always up to no good. And it's kind of funny because that's how they're arresting people in the UK right now is from Facebook, their Facebook posts, and it makes you wonder if they're in cahoots with them too. Like, how far does that go? Yeah, they don't care to comment on that at all.
Yeah, and Mark Zuckerberg literally went to court like it was a few weeks ago or a month ago. It was I believe it was at the beginning of August, if I'm not mistaken. It really was not that long ago. And he said in court, he was testifying, I think, to Congress, and he said that during COVID, that the FBI or the CIA, or might have even been both, that they were pressuring him to censor information that was speaking bad about COVID, the COVID vaccines, anything that people were saying to cause hesitancy, any information they were spreading, to censor it and to ban their accounts. This was proven. Now, with Kamala's ideology about misinformation and hate speech, Kamala loves what Facebook's doing because Facebook works under the government's control. That's why you saw the intelligence agencies working through Facebook. So clearly there is corruption. And if Kamala likes how Facebook is managed, and it is literally, when it comes to important subjects, it's managed by the intelligence agency. That is what she wants. She wants all social media to be regulated by our intelligence agencies. And like Ethan said, look at the UK. People are now getting arrested for hate speech in the comment sections when it's not even hate speech.
The other day, which this is kind of particular, I was on TikTok, and if you go into TikTok right now and you call someone stupid and you mention Project 2025 in the same sentence, it will restrict and take your comment away. I didn't cuss at all. I didn't say anything to any, but I called him stupid because he didn't know what Project 2025 was.
Hateful.
I know. Which I'm not saying I agree with that Project 2025. I was saying that he was misinterpreting, or maybe he was a victim of misinformation, but he was saying that Project 2025 had different policies than what it did, and it's but that's not labeled as information or misinformation. That's just an opinion. But if it's the truth, that's misinformation.
So more or less what we're trying to say is that all the social media companies, the mainstream social media companies, are regulated except for X. And that is what makes them very mad, is that it's not regulated by them. They can't restrict what you are and aren't saying. That makes them mad. So Kamala, by saying other things that she's saying, and Tim Walz, saying that, oh, you don't have the right to freedom of speech if you're spreading misinformation, they're showing you their true colors. They are wannabe communists. And Kamala, I believe it was, even said that it's a privilege. It is not a privilege. That is a constitutional right. It is not your privilege to just get to say what you want to say. No. Everyone, you have a right to. There's a difference between a privilege and a right. A privilege is something you've earned. But this is a right. Because of that war, because we won, we have the right to say what we want to say. If you don't like it, well, that sucks, bud. Kick rocks. So earlier we mentioned gun control. And in case Kamala wasn't sounding communist enough already, let's just see what her solution is about gun control.
Adding to your gun control agenda?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action. Because what we need is action.
I mean, they don't lack for great ideas. Like, how great of an idea is it to run for presidency as a female, knowing that, you know, the United States is a weapon-bearing country, and then tell all your viewers that you are going to take their First Amendment rights, not legally, but forcefully. Great idea. I think that's a great idea. You know why I think it's a great idea? Because I don't want her to be president. So honestly, she should keep saying things like this, because if people open up their eyes, they're going to realize she does not want your best interest. She wants, if anything, to take it away.
And she's so full of herself, too. She's like, we've been full of great ideas for a decade. Like, come on now.
This is the same woman who was on camera who said 18 to 24-year-olds in college, they need supervisors because they're dumb. But when you're 6 years old, you have the right to choose your own gender. But if you triple that age, you're dumb. Divide that age by 3. Pick your own gender. Wow. Full of great ideas, people. Full of great ideas.
And I feel like one of the most important questions we all need to be asking ourselves is, why are they trying to take away all the guns?
And at the same time, trying to also restrict your freedom of speech and say what is and isn't misinformation and hate speech. I think it's not a coincidence that they're doing them at the same time. They want to take away your guns while also taking away your freedom of speech.
Remember, guys, 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah. More or less what he's saying is, if the government can do both, what stops them from just doing anything? And right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is checkmate. And by that I mean freedom is gone, and in replace of that is communism. And that is the end goal. It is so easy to see. You take away their guns, they can't revolt. You take away their freedom of speech, they can't ever tell you what's going on. That's all you gotta do. I mean, social media, they just want to be social. No media. It was intended to be media.
Yeah, again, probably sound like a broken record, but this is literally exactly what's happening in the UK.
Absolutely,
like, exactly, like side by side, and the people in the UK are telling, they were before.
They're trying to.
Before you were getting thrown in jail for Facebook posts, they were telling us that the exact same thing is starting here, like with the border crisis. They're gonna flood. It's gonna have a housing crisis. And then the corporations are going to buy up those houses, jack up the rent, give the migrants housing vouchers, and we're going to be the ones paying for it, taxpayers.
And you guys are.
We already are.
And you guys want to know something even crazier? The UK is actually one of the places that, in a sense, rebelled, because something we're not doing is exactly that. As in, the UK, they put tariffs on their farmers, and they did that in France as well. And the farmers literally stopped farming. Like, they literally said, all right, bet. Like, and not only did they stop farming, but they went and took their tractors, their tillers, and all their little, like, equipment with anything with wheels, basically, and they took it to the city. and they started dumping manure everywhere to make sure the city officials would clean it up. And then they started basically stopping highways, blocking roads, just basically creating havoc. And the point I'm gonna make with this one, because it's just kind of like a contradictory statement of what I'm gonna say, because you're gonna probably think, oh yeah, so we need a revolt, which granted, like, yeah, we do need a revolt, but what I'm trying to get at is to the people that say, oh well, America's not going through that, like we're just better, like the ignorance is bliss, you know. And that's the whole point of, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the frog being boiled in the pot, but I feel like that's the American side of things, as in that's what you see, what's happening to the places that are currently, you know, conflicting and not agreeing to what's going on. Because you got to think, at some point they're gonna get results out of that. Like, I mean, by doing what the farmers did, the government did listen, and they did indeed lower the tax.
Yeah, they did.
And what I'm trying to get at is us, by not combating, by being compliant, by doing everything that they ask and just letting it happen instead of revolting, we are the frog getting boiled. Yeah. And the theory behind the frog that gets boiled is they put a frog in hot water, like not too hot, just a little bit warm, right? And they let the water get hotter and hotter and hotter every 2 minutes, right? Next thing you know, this frog is sitting in a hot tub, like super boiled, and its legs are going numb. But it doesn't realize that because it's comfortable. It thinks the heat is making it good. Like, it's kind of like, dang, this heat's pretty nice. I like this. Well, 5 minutes later, the frog is boiled alive. And I almost feel like that's what's happening to America right now, because all the things going on right now are so small and so subtle and almost just right under our eyes that we're just getting boiled alive instead of freaking reacting. Like, if we could react, then people would actually be like, wait a minute, none of this is normal.
One thing I would like to say is that this is not like to incite a riot or anything. It's a revolt peacefully. Peacefully. We do not need any more violence in like today's day and age. You can see it anywhere you go. Like,
hey, if anything, we need exactly what Kamala said. We need action, but we need it.
Action. I don't think we're at that bad of a point yet where we'll see violence anywhere we turn, but I think it's getting close. I think it's pretty scary, honestly.
I'd rather prepare and tell you guys things like this, though, which is why we're doing this, versus like to be the frog that one day just doesn't wake up, because that's what happens if it just didn't wake up, which granted, like, you know, we all believe in God, so that's the good part of things. Once everything ends, we will all be better, but for now, this is the reality of things.
So the last thing I want to bring up, based off of what Peter just said, is with us not doing anything and staying silent. Now, yeah, it's not to incite a riot, but by just not even, doing anything, they view that as compliance. They see it as like we're making an agreement with them. That if they can throw out these ideologies, because obviously it has to be an idea before it's signed into law. If they could say, hey, this is what we want to do. We haven't done it yet, but this is what we want to do. Like, for example, we want to take away your freedom of speech if you're saying the wrong things. We haven't done it yet, but we want to do that. And if no one says anything about it and no one cares, then they're going to see that. They're going to wait a few months, maybe in a few years, they're going to see no one's really said much about this. Guess what? That means that they must be okay with it. Like, the most of the people must be okay if we just go ahead and take that away, because no one cares. And it's sad, but honestly, most of us don't care. And that's what irritates me about America. We are so privileged by the way our government has been built, the freedoms that we have. We are so privileged. We simply don't understand what it would be like if it were taken away. It would be a whole different game. None of us have experienced it. And once you do experience it, it's going to be too late. And that is what I'm trying to emphasize, is our silence is viewed as compliance. That's just, it sucks. It shouldn't be like that, but the people who pull the strings are not good people. So, of course, they look at it as compliance. We say nothing. But that's all I got. That's why you guys should care. It's not that you guys got to care about politics. It's that you should just care about living a life that you want to live, and then the government doesn't have a say in how you live your life. Everyone should be able to agree with that. So it's not political. This is your human rights at stake. Simple as that, I think.
But, hey, we're here to decrypt it. So with that being said, I'm Peter.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Tanner.
And this is the Decryption Podcast.
Thank you for watching.